Hi, my friends and family. It's your friend Trey, and I'm back here for another talk. And this one is called The Epitome of Good and Evil, the Talmud of Jmmanuel and Sunless Geoengineering. The Epitome of Good and Evil, the Talmud of Jmmanuel and Sunless Geoengineering. I've been really getting into this amazing medical MD truther lately. I discovered talking on many podcasts, I would say is a brilliant surgeon, Jack Cruz, MD. And he says that those lines in the book of Genesis are accurate. First, there was light, or first, Creator said, "Let there be light," and it was good. And he said, then they got the recipe or the formula. They never told you the formula for how to achieve it after that, and that's why he's here. As I checked the NASA satellite, or NASA weather force spellcast, which is where all of our fortune telling from the weather corporations comes from. I see the plan to utilize the natural, or maybe somewhat, I don't even know, the obviously pattern of nature in the southeast of USA for September, to the month of September, to be hurricane season. I see the plan to utilize September hurricane season to fully block out the sky in the East Coast with geoengineering, like August 2020. And when I get back to my tent, the man in the next room tells me, "I want you here complaining about the weather." Well, I don't think you really want that trauma bond, because well, on the other hand, he's the one person who makes the best use out of it. Kite surfing, flying off into it. But I'd probably want to wear a N95 to do that, or a respirator myself, just to be safe, if I was going to fly off into it myself. So, and he's got asthma, so that just goes to show you. So the truth about this is that the only place we find the epitome of good and the epitome of evil, it seems to me, is in humans' souls. And I thought of this saying a long time ago, when I was a young boy. Heaven and hell could never coexist in any place except this, in the humans, the world of humans. The human's mind or brain tends to be able to conjure up or conceptualize, conceive, and maintain or create temporarily states of both heaven and hell, as we were taught the definitions of those words meant or Christian or even Buddhist traditions. It's all within the mind. Mother Earth is obviously a divine being. The Anunnaki, Lucifer, are obviously complete masters of enslavement and violence and terror. And so they really epitomize evil, pretty well. But and also this video contests this cliche saying, what doesn't kill you makes you grow stronger, because, usually most often what doesn't kill you can just tear up your body, or if you're not willing to do the shadow work, your soul, your spirit, into fragments, cut you up into little pieces. Even if you're still walking or in a wheelchair, even if you don't die as a soldier with massive PTSD, or even if you don't die of PTSD from the temporal war we're all in now, psychological World War III, it's going to leave a scar if you're not willing to heal it. So it's going to scar you. So I don't really think it makes you stronger. Like the fact that I've had cancer and Mr. Essay for decades and decades, and not necessarily been able to completely 100% eradicate that from my body. if you think that you know, since I was in Santa Cruz, California, on my astrocartographical Chiron line for over 20 years, having culminating actually to this one day, and I was totally sober at 10 a.m. A solar flare hit me in 2021 on September 1st, and I was planning to not change anything. Spent 5 days in the ER. I broke 15 small bones. I healed them all in 6 months, and began my transmission in this room here I'm in now, my sibling and mom's house here in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. And you know what? I'm thankful for that. Things that didn't kill me, that did make me stronger, but I wouldn't necessarily say, you know, I'm sure I have implants just from that. And I'm sure that, well, because it was funny because the one day, the synthetic things they gave me for pain didn't relieve my pain. And I kept pressing that nurser button every 2 hours to get more, and it didn't really help. Rockefeller medicine and so-called food, it just made me feel pretty crappy. But when I was high on the morphine shot after the initial accident, I threatened to pull all the, I mean, I couldn't feel any of the pain. I threatened to pull all the tubes out of me if they did the PCR test. Then this young Asian nurse told me, well, you can do it yourself. You don't even have to put it up in there. So I did a PCR test on myself right here, just on that part. So, you know, there's about a 96% chance that there's a clone of me out there somewhere just from that clone tech. And then I'm going to have to, maybe I might have to do more cleanses to heal the blockade that probably went inside my head from that, if I haven't cleansed it out by now. And so as soon as after 5 days, and then you know what, as soon as I got in the hospital, 3 MDs, it looked like a hospital TV show. They had on these beautiful green vests, and they were supposedly, the Dominican hospital in Santa Cruz was full for COVID, so they took me in the ER 35 miles. Maybe this is because I'm me. I'm so lucky I'm the grandson of a 33-degree Freemason. I don't know. But they drove me all the way to the Santa Clara Trauma Center, and experts in this kind of thing. It looked like a doctor TV show. A handsome 30-year-old Jewish guy, and a handsome 30-year-old Asian woman, and a beautiful 30-year-old African-American woman, MDs. And they put me through a tube, you know, probably radiate my cancer pretty well from that. And then, so I didn't even really have a shower or anything while I was in there those first few days either. It's kind of gnarly, but they saved my life. And they got two and a half cups of blood out of my lungs. And then after 5 days in there, the handsome young Jewish guy says, well, you ready to get out of here? I said, sure. And the first thing I did in Santa Cruz is I went to Kind People's, and I got THC and CBD, you know, tinctures, because I couldn't smoke for the first 23 days. I had 9 broken ribs where they took the 2.5 cups of blood out. I still have a scar right there. And I went back for a checkup in 23 days and consuming bone broth and California sunshine and CBD and THC. Another MD who did the x-ray told me that all 9 ribs had completely healed. So again, after a year after this experience, I decided that I'm, you know, it's the moment to create these wisdom shows. So today's video is brought to you by Arcana in West Ashley here, and this is really predominantly not so much to advertise, but for all my friends in California. I heard that Gavin Newsom just criminalized or made all these types of clubs that sell, these companies that only sell CBD, illegal. And the same day, this is the kind of way that Bill Gates actually serves my wisdom here, even though it's derogatory and etc. He's trying to pull my attention into MSN, but you know, the little flat. I gotta learn how to do that type of thing. The slideshow, it works so well. Do slideshow videos, and And Bill Gates' newest, MSN's newest slideshow, they had one slide of Gavin Newsom declaring that hemp companies are illegal, and one slide of him saying that they're going to use, they're going to use AI to capture all the people like that were existing there as I was in the campsite. Particularly, if they have, because they can just easily apprehend them all with these gadgets, So if I don't change my ways and learn how to do the technology better or form teams and tighter friendships, then like I say, if I tried to move back into my campsite that Laura Eisenhower encouraged me to get apprehended but she did a lot to awaken me. But I'm just saying that if I was that willfully ignorant and stuck in my ways, that I think it'll be okay if they, in the case that, of course, they might try to use that only to get rid of all the people on the streets or whatever, but it's hard to say. It's the kind of laws that Governor Newsom made, such as if one parent brings a child who was born in the USA from any 50 states over state line to the state of California, and that one parent believes the child is in the wrong body, gender dysmorphia, then they can go straight to a surgeon or straight to taking hormone blockers, surgically castrate them because they're in the wrong body. That's the state of California as far as the law goes. And I have landlord friends that might have to go work 2 or 3 other jobs to pay for the property tax. Okay, that's the state of California. Okay, it's insane as far as the law goes. I mean, think about it. The conquistadores killed off all the Native Americans who wouldn't convert to their brand of Catholicism, and then they took all their property, all this rich farmland and all their jewels and their women and children. And my little cliche saying was like, California can't afford it because the mafia, these conquistador Illuminati mafia families, they bought all the land, then formed the government, and then they try to charge you 3 or 4 times more than anyone can afford to stay in this place because you can get sunshine almost every day of the year, perfect 72 degrees. But Jack Cruz says that because of Hollywood and Silicon Valley, there's actually an extra layer of EMT pollution in California that he says he's 60 and he's always been overweight. He's afraid he's going to get apoptosis to hang out there. So I found that very fascinating. Again, he's a fascinating teacher I've been getting into lately. And so, but yeah, they plan on keeping the sky gray, and they keep the title of this video is due to the fact that they plan to keep the southeast coast here fully gray for over a week. That's the plan. They've in the Luciferian mind control, like Event 201, if they announce what they're going to do in this case, it's supposedly a forecast, and that makes it all the much more kosher to the Elohim. They think, suppose. But again, they plan to utilize the hurricane season in September to fully block out the sky on the East Coast with geoengineering, like August 2020, where towns such as this one, such as my beloved, sacred, holy city, the beautiful Charleston, South Carolina, has been slated by the negative alien agenda for an end by flooding by around the year 2027, my guess, or at least parts of this neighborhood, because as long as they geoengineer so heavily, there's many, many yards here where the stagnant puddles of water and mosquitoes never leave their yard, even as hot as it gets, believe it or not. And that's if this activity isn't criminalized like the state of Tennessee recently did, or New Hampshire before that, okay, and aggressively enforced. In other words, if Joseph Riley, or it's not him anymore, if Governor McMaster criminalizes, if I if I'm going to stay in South Carolina, I would have to make a campaign to criminalize geoengineering to keep Charleston out of the ocean before the New World Order of year of 2030, because it's slated in to go in, you know. But the state of Tennessee criminalized this activity. I don't know, $20,000 fine for every sky dump or whatever, as well as the state of New Hampshire. And as much as I think those were wonderful, very courageous first steps, you know, they're going to need millions of dollars to combat the 1% criminal robber barons and their alien off-planet overlords. There's some ET researchers feel like, you know, they're terraforming this planet because to the certain draconian, reptilian, or Anunnaki overlord or junior god races, they don't even, they're anti-life beings. They don't even like sun. They don't even want to be around the sun. Because you see, also, there's the theory that, you know, we can get heal our so-called junk DNA or ascend, learn how to turn on our dormant strands of DNA up to the 15 strands and learn how to do, you know, our superhuman divine Namulu Christos superpowers with these dormant DNA strands that, you know, people claim that there's been more and more solar flares, and that the solar flares, like what happened to me, and if you want to go to the good of what doesn't kill you cliche, you know, that it can upgrade you, in my case, to overcome the bullshit fear or archontic control that prevents you from doing the proper thing with your gifts, like sharing them. So, but, you know, let's say Charleston and McMaster get, you know, a fleet of police airplanes to go after the 1% criminal robber barons and Lockheed Martin employees who do this. Then we're talking. Then we're saying, you know, hurricane season, you know, you're going to have, you might have to deal with some gray skies half the day. You know, imagine that. It won't, you know, I won't have to wear a long sleeve in September. It's ridiculous. And it's like, yeah, my brother and the renter and all the other neighbors and like 99% of the people in this town don't want to hear it. But I don't want this beautiful town to go in the ocean just because Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and their overlords, the people that consider them pets, think it should because people are too nice here. I mean, that's what it seems like. You know, call me a loony woo-woo agent. If you want, but that's how it appears to me. And so, again, if it's criminalized and they somehow are able to enforce it, then yeah, we can say Charleston can last at least a couple more decades before going in the ocean, you know. So otherwise, forget about it. I mean, you know, if you're in denial about this activity, then it's to your own demise. Unless you live in one of these houses on stilts on the islands or wherever. If your house is on stilts, you might be all right, you know. No, there is nothing organic about being forced to see no sunlight at all for weeks in a semi-tropical southern region like southeastern United States of America, okay? It is a regional 2020 scenario. It was a regional 2020 scenario for the skies, a forced lockdown for the entire ionosphere. You know, as soon as I think it was 2021 or 2022, that Lockheed Martin, if you go to their YouTube page, they claim that Space Fence has been operational, that they terraform the skies to get lost objects in space is what they claim it's for, right? Watch that video and tell me if that's an AI or an alien talking. I can't even tell whether it's an AI or a human or an alien species talking in the video. It's so impersonal. It's really bizarre. So, but this is what I feel when they do heavy geoengineering and you can't see the sun for days, especially weeks. Again, they take advantage of ignorance, you know, or fear and willful ignorance, and wait till it's September and, you know, all of a sudden it's 20 degrees or 10 degrees colder in South Carolina. Yeah, right. Let the humans like the Humans 2.0 experiment. I mean, so many parts of the war that we're in now and the planetary takeover attempt are really like actually epitomes of evil and hell on earth and filthy bullshit in its epitome. Again, like that's, you know, if you think about it as a psychological or a nanotech war, you know, it really epitomizes how filthy and sick our imposter gods, our enemies actually are. And the fact that we haven't broken into out warfare for this already shows how, with all of their firearms and guns, how spiritual the people of USA actually are to some degree, and so, but we, as far as the skies and all these operations go, we have a forced lockdown for the entire ionosphere and a terraforming and death for the entire sky, like the Humans 2.0 experiment, the massive narcissistic personality disorders epidemic, how Operation Paperclip and the Nazis, the Majestic 12 brought Nazi pseudoscience. Well, they were the best scientists Hitler could find after they shut down World War II, into the hallowed halls of captured academia and research labs and government agencies, the big farms, chemotherapy, and a lot of the scientism death cult programmed hypothesis on a rapid grand scale, the mainstreaming of Satanism, like this school district in Chicago that this dude, young man, openly came on Tucker Carlson's show before they took him off Fox and said that twice a month he has second graders come to this free after school little seminar to explain how to be a good Satanist. And I'm not exaggerating. Okay. Like, for example, free drag queen story hours are springing up everywhere. Okay. At least in 6 or 7 different regions. I could make a whole video on that, which I just didn't want to get into the negative so much. But, so we have the scientism death cult program hypothesis on a rapid grand scale, and along with the mainstream of Satanism through the Illuminati controlled mainstream media, we have also, of course, they promote moral relativity and solipsism and popular acceptance of these forms of psychological retardation and ionospheric, sky and human body takeover. Lately, somewhat successful takeover of regions of the entire planet, souls and bodies and counties and states and countries. My mother slowly dying from the tiny takeover of needle tech. The disappearing of over 2,000 children and jihad on the traditional, beautiful shamanic traditions and religions of Lahaina. Okay, the greatest loosh harvest ever, probably. Okay, that was 13 moons ago, but I didn't forget about it. Okay, the endless jihad in Israel, naturally, the very soon coming forced economic collapse, the attempted forcing of CBDC takeover plan, and the black hole inverted sick mission of loser fours, narcissistic predator entity takeovers. Someone high on the scale of narcissistic personality disorder is absolutely, okay, without a shadow of a doubt, completely possessed or becoming possessed by the insane, derogatory, perhaps violent archontic voices. It's all documented, hundreds and thousands of cases. Okay, that these people actually think radio station 666 is their own thoughts. That's how fucking willfully ignorant these people are. Whereas I share an equal opposite retarded trait lately, which is to tell the devil off when they try to tell the archons, you're fucking idiots, directly out loud when they try to implant thoughts in my head of fear, anxiety, or harm. Which is probably bad, probably feeds my cancer and my blood disease, which is why I have to change. But, that's their way of trying to destroy me. You see, as long as we're being psychologically weak, then the archontic voices, they get some amount of control. Okay, that's why the shadow work and meditation, self-respect and discernment are very essential. If you don't do those things, then the dark lords win. They will always win. Okay? There's a reason why people who go to church every Sunday to worship what they think is Christ, several in my blood family and in California that were my best friends, never contact me, never email me, never watch my videos. They could never watch one. They don't have the courage. And it's not because I'm crazy. It's because Lucifer and the Dark Lords and the Old Testament gods are that talented at taking their energy and keeping them, on their knees and keeping them afraid. Okay? It's a skill. Okay? They're very talented. They've been doing it for millions of years. They took over the planet Saturn. They put a cube in Saturn to beam this program through the moon. It's all we have photographs of it. It's on my banner. Okay? So none of this stuff is anything new. I'm just trying to explain to you my opinion that this all epitomizes evil. Okay? The massive lotus blossoming of narcissistic predator entity personalities taking over we are witnessing is the epitome of evil in your face. The idea that nothing is all good or all bad is probably a moral relativist lie. Unless, like Viktor Frankl and David Stendhal Rolf, who became he became a Catholic priest, and while stuff was getting blown up around him in Poland because warfare enlightened him to God's love somehow. Unless you're like guys like that, what evil, it's really stupid to try to think that you're going to find good in violence. Okay, unless you're a guy that's that exceptional. Unless you're someone that can awaken in that way, unless it awakens or heals you, it's like the dumb idea that everyone is on the scale of homosexuality, like you're at least a little bit gay or a lot gay. Whoever came up with that idea was a queer, probably. I mean, they want to normalize it or something. I don't know. It was probably an ET that came up with that idea. They come up with memes that, like the idea of being politically correct, or the meme Black Lives Matters. It had nothing to do with protecting African or melanin rich people. See, it was a meme to advance to put their Marxist agenda out. Okay, so having heard about Chicago's Satanism after school open children's meetings and pure, it's pure demonism. On the other hand, apocalypse means post-revelation. The word apocalypse actually means post-revealing. For me, YouTube, as much as it's obnoxious as hell to deal with 150 CIA guys all the time as co-workers and censors, and they're trying to control the numbers. YouTube was originally an Aquarius. The corporation YouTube, when it first came online, was Aquarius, and then about 20 months later, in the sign of Libra, is when the Google and CIA employees moved in. Okay, YouTube was only not censored by being owned by Google for 20 months. So, but that does give it astrologically an Aquarian energy that I've gotten so much, like the portal to ascension, I've gotten so much healing and wisdom out of YouTube. Okay, but so you have to understand it could really, YouTube itself could epitomize the good and the evil. So So what happened is several weeks ago, I've been putting off making this video because it's very intense and I feel very passionate about this subject. And but this is what happened. A fully Hebrew or Jewish blooded man who was not at all racist. He has a channel called Full Disclosure Now on YouTube because he was in the secret space program. And actually, him and his friend Brian Singh, they just had what was, from all accounts, I didn't go, but from all accounts, what was a wonderful first full, totally on my tip, not these, controlled opposition, Chinese water torture, drip disclosure conferences to make money off it, a full disclosure now conference and hopefully they're gonna do it again next year in Petersburg, Florida. And this guy, was his best friend before that to inspire it, and his name is, he calls himself Arkeem Ra. And he's also about one of the few people on YouTube who will actually tell you the horrors he went through in the secret space program openly. He's a younger man, and and he's read my comments on there and respected me. And the thing is that he was interviewing Penny Bradley, a lady perhaps twice his age in linear years, who was also in the secret space program, and also in churches and religious parts, several religious denominations that were involved with the dark side ritual abuse programs. It's all SRA, most of it. And someone in the chat room asked, have you read the Talmud of Jmmanuel? And a friend of mine who just passed on, Barnaby in Santa Cruz, California, who had his house burned down in 2020 by the CZU direct energy weapon, laser weapon that started, basically one of the intentions of that was they burned down the entire town he lived in of Last Chance, California, probably because it was a hippie, enclave with sovereignty. They had their own food and huge cannabis patches and taking care of their own needs pretty well. And it was mostly, hippie-ish people or people that were back to nature, kind of people. And the whole town was lasered down in the CZU fires with direct energy weapons. And he lost his house, and he was maybe 81 or something. He was just in the process of rebuilding his house, and he left. And it's really sad because he had a high IQ, and I remember sometimes I'd meet him, and he'd sell me some. He was the first place where I got some of this pressed kiff, like I can sometimes I get from the Holy City Farms here, and it looked just like that. And he would sell me pressed kiff, and we'd talk about spirituality or the truth, more like the Matrix, for 20 minutes. And the thing that was bad, the thing that I hope he's okay, because and I'm not certain, I'd like to send a prayer out that he's going somewhere good, but he was half Cherokee and half Ashkenazi. And one day I saw him while I was doing laundry at the laundromat, and he told me, the Jewish people are the most evil people in the world. And I know because I am a Jewish person. And then he pulled out his cell phone and he started to show me something from the Talmud, which is one of the sacred Babylonian scriptures that it's like, 20,000 words or what pages long. Like, it's a huge, many volumes books. And I'm not going to repeat what he showed me in this video, because it's, for one thing, it would get the video pulled down. Okay? I'm just bringing this up. Well, I want to send his soul peace too. But he told me one time, the thing that's fucked up about America, the thing that sucks about America, is because it's I got mine and fuck you. And he, interestingly enough, he had a zodiac sun sign, Cancer, just like USA, and he would spend most of his time growing weed. And he did do 3 years or several years in the penitentiary, because he got caught selling weed, and so that might have made him more paranoid and so forth. But he was a really loving and brilliant man, and part Cherokee, and he had a really beautiful spirit. But the really tragic thing is, he told me that he agreed with the Satanist Zionist Illuminati thugs who think or Luciferians who believe that nothing happens when you die, that it's over when you're dead. And so I have no idea. Like I say, I want to send him peace because he was a really benevolent person in my life. But it's really sad that that's how lost, a person can get, is to think that nothing happens after you die. And now he's finding out. And so, with that being said, the chat question and the full disclosure now was referring to another book that's totally unrelated to the old Babylonian Talmud, and that book is called The Talmud of Jmmanuel. Okay, and the story goes, if any of you out there have heard this guy's name, he's probably one of the first famous disclosure names, actually. Billy Meyer. So the discovery of the Talmud in 1963, a Swiss-born man named Edward Albert Meyer, who the world now knows as Billy Meyer, and his ex-Greek Orthodox priest friend Isa Rashid took an afternoon walk along a roadway a little to the south of the old city of Jerusalem. And during that afternoon walk, Albert Meyer happened to glance upwards, or Billy Myers happened to look upwards in the rocks and spied a small opening in the ground that took his interest. Finding himself curious, Billy Meyer took a torchlight from his backpack and examined the opening, which was found to continue inwards. And so Billy and his friend Isa Rashid dug out enough of the surrounding earth to allow them to gain entrance to some sort of chamber. What they both found after crawling inside was an old tomb in a state of disrepair and half filled with earth. However, after cleaning more of the soil away, Albert Meyer and Isa Rashid discovered a package beneath the flat rock, which they took back to Isa Rashid's home to examine. The package was said to be about 60 centimeters long, 20 centimeters wide, and was found to hold 4 separate rolls of Aramaic writings, which took the name of the Talmud of Jmmanuel. Luckily, Isa Rashid had some Palestinian background in his family, and so he found he could read the old Aramaic text. And the first thing that Isa Rashid noticed was that the title page showed that Judas Iscariot had authorized this collection of spiritual knowledges on behalf of his teacher. And so I want to say that I have no idea whether Billy Meyer or his higher, his guardian or his spirit guide, transcribed this or made it up. It would be a good, I wouldn't be at all shocked if he made this whole thing up. However, over 3 times, I downloaded the PDF you can find. The CIA won't let me make a link to it, so but you can find it on archive.net, and that's where I got it here. And so before I read a little bit of the scripture, I want to tell you that the reason why I feel that this is, if Billy Meyer didn't make this up, this is absolutely the closest thing account to the truth of Christ Yeshua that I have ever read. I've read most of the Nag Hammadi library, the books they took out, the New Testament. I've different versions, and this has to be, again, it doesn't even matter to me, honestly, whether Billy Meyer made this up or not. I believe this. Be truth, because this is full of truth. Because this book, this version of Christ's teachings has no lies. And if you purchase it off Amazon or read it at the PDF on Archive, you'll find that you agree with me. There's no, I challenge anyone out there to contest my comment that this book, this version of the Christ has no lies. I challenge the whole planet Earth, okay? If you find any lies in this book, let me know what they are. I challenge you. Okay? The possessed can get as angry as they want about this, but it's not going to work. Okay. So, and the other thing is, it's made me start crying. Tears, big tears have formed in my eyes in at least 3 passages of this book about Christ. So I think this is the real. If anyone out there really thinks they're a Christian and they want to be real with it, I would say this is your real Bible. This is the real book, and it's also really the reason why it makes it a stronger possibility that Billy Myers transcribed it is because it's short. But I'm going to read you the one I read today that brought me to tears, because it's so poignant, and nothing in it contradicts what's happening now is the thing, and well, they're going to try to block me from it. You see, here it is. There's nothing in this that contradicts what's happening now is the thing that really got me. Every single word that Christ Yeshua says is very accurate about the actual situation. Okay? And that's why I really think this is the most accurate, this book is the most accurate version of Christ's teachings I've ever come across. You will be outcast among human peoples, and then you will alternately lose the land you took by force, regain it, and lose it again, well into the most distant future. Imagine that was said 2,200 years ago, or 2,000 years ago. Truly I say to you, your existence will be a continual struggle and war, and so the human peoples will smite you with their hostile thinking and enmity. You will find neither rest nor peace in the country stolen by your ancestors by way of falsehood, deceit, and fire, because you will be haunted by the inherited burden of these murderers, through which your forefathers assassinated the ancient inhabitants of this part of the earth and deprived them of life and material goods. Meaning Native Americans in our case. Hence all of the righteous blood will fall upon you. This blood was shed by your forefathers and through you, and which will still be shed by you and your close and distant descendants into the faraway future, and now in the very immediate future possibly. There will be hatred against you in this world, even the New Age. And think about that. If Billy Meyer didn't make this up, Christ used the term New Age back then. Even the New Age will bring you neither rest nor peace until you retreat from the land you took by force, or until you make a conciliatory peace, create brotherly trust and unity with your enemies, and renounce your wrongful and stolen rights. You brood of snakes and vipers, this will happen to you in the distant future. And now it's the soon future, if not now. Yet not by accident will you have a fortuitous chance in the New Age when my teachings on Christ's justice, on creation's justice and laws will again be disseminated. So you may then seize the opportunity, meaning nowadays, to end and settle the world's hatred against you who uphold the true teachings of Christ by means of an honest peace. In other words, if you make peace with the world, even though they hate you and they want to hang you on all types of crosses, therefore, in the New Age, heed my teachings, which are truly the teachings of the laws and directives of creation. Pay heed when they will be taught anew, because this will be the sign of the time, and at which many things will change. The power of the mighty and tyrants will crumble, so that the peoples of all humanity become free. In the coming distant new age, heed the renewed presentation of my teachings of the spiritual and creational forces and laws and directives, which are valid for all times and throughout the universe, so that you may act accordingly to my counsel, and that there may be tranquility and peace among you and all human beings in this world. Truly, truly, I say to you, all this shall be fulfilled and come upon you and upon your people long into the future, as I have told you. Okay? Prove to me that you know of any translation of any scripture that is more accurate and to the point than this book. And so here again, Yeshua, or Jesus Christ, the original creator, Christ Sophia, Jesus Christ's mother Mary, Jesus Christ's mother, his wife Mary Magdalene, they were the embodiment, the epitome of good. So in order to fight this crazy and powerfully and insane demonism that Lucifer has put almost everywhere, I'm here to bring all of you that want and need this, the actual book that brought me to tears, that's probably the actual accurate words of Yeshua, who again, because he epitomized goodness, had to have his flesh suit nailed onto that cross, or they had to create the story whether they got him or not. If you enjoyed this commentary and you haven't already and you want to see more, make sure you click on the subscribe button and the notification bell for more. And if you want to hear more juicy, bloody details of all the stuff I can't say on YouTube, check me out on Odyssey or Rumble. Although I don't really get into those dark details and post separate videos on there much these days, to be honest with you. And even if they block out the sun for weeks, perhaps you can, open your mind to drinking raw milk, or figure out some other organic way to get your vitamin D in this sickness and madness of solar geoengineering, terraforming operations. And may peace be with you, with this fake or artificial extinction event of Humans 2.0 experiment, if at all possible. And if you have the courage, my family, create a great day.